Congratulations on being invited to Phase 2 of the Specialty Crop Block Grant Program. CDFA is pleased to welcome you all to the grant proposal phase for 2020, and we look forward to seeing your full grant proposal. The content of this webinar builds upon the grant proposal instructions you received with your invitation to the grant proposal phase. In this presentation, we will be discussing the information contained on this slide, including how to apply, the grant proposal application, the review process, grounds for disqualification, and award requirements. The grant proposal due date is Tuesday, February 18th at 5 p.m. Pacific Time. We cannot accept late submissions, so be sure to contact us with any questions as soon as possible. And please don't wait until the last minute to access the FAST system and complete your application. CDFA will then submit recommendations to USDA in May, and we anticipate that USDA will announce and award funding in the fall of 2020. Grant proposals must be submitted electronically using the FAST system. Contact information for the FAST Help Desk is included on the final slide of this presentation and is also available on page 3 of the grant proposal instructions. The FAST system was updated with the grant proposal questions and required attachments on January 14th, 2020. You will need to log into FAST using the same username and password from the concept proposal phase. You can access the grant proposal questionnaire and complete your application by clicking on Active Applications. However, if you need to access your concept proposal feedback, click on Submitted Applications. As a friendly reminder, FAST was designed and tested for use on a PC using Internet Explorer 6.0 or greater. CDFA recommends that you use Internet Explorer, save your work often, and disable any pop-up blocking software while using FAST. The following concept proposal content should be reviewed during the grant proposal phase and revised if necessary. If a project is awarded funding, the project description will be published on CDFA and USDA's website. Therefore, the description should be suitable for dissemination to the public, describe the project goals and outcomes, and summarize the general tasks to be undertaken to achieve the stated goals and outcomes. There are several reasons that your budget may have changed from the concept proposal phase to the final grant proposal, including guidance from this office on the allowability of proposed costs or due to changes in federal travel rates. If the final budget amount varies from the original amount, please be sure to update the project budget in FAST. In the event the budget narrative and FAST project budget amounts differ, CDFA's review will be based on the dollar amount indicated in the budget narrative. Note that substantial changes to a project budget are not appropriate, and budget amounts must be between $50,000 to $450,000. The grant proposal application consists of 12 questions for a total of 100 points possible. For questions that carry over from the concept proposal, which are marked with an asterisk, responses should address any administrative and/or technical review committee feedback that was received. Responses should also be expanded as needed to reflect the fully developed grant proposal. We will briefly review each question on the next few slides. However, we highly recommend that you thoroughly read the grant proposal instructions as it contains much more detailed information. The first question is project purpose and is worth 10 points. Within this question, be sure to address all of the following: the specific issue, problem, or need your project will address, why it is important and timely to the specialty crop industry, and lastly, identify at least one of the 2020 SCBGP program priorities for the chosen funding category as described in the request for concept proposals, and explain how the project addresses this priority or priorities. Question 2 is the project objectives and work plan and is worth 20 points. The project objectives and work plan is the first grant proposal question to utilize a downloadable template. Within the template, you will enter the project start and end date, identify the objectives and activities of the project, indicate who will perform each task, and when each task will occur. We will go over this template and all of the grant proposal templates in separate presentations. Question 3 is project beneficiaries and is worth 10 points. In this section, address the following. Estimate the number of beneficiaries. The number cited should be a reasonable estimate of the number of individuals that could realistically be directly impacted by the results of the project. Estimates should be trackable and reportable. Identify and quantify the project beneficiaries and describe how they will benefit. And lastly, how the project benefits the specialty crop industry rather than directly benefiting a single organization or individual. Question 3 is mandatory for all proposals, but is especially important for those applicants that received feedback indicating their concept proposal has the potential to benefit the applicant. Question 4 is specialty crop enhancement and is unscored. SCBGP funds must enhance the competitiveness of specialty crops as defined by USDA. Note that although the word solely was removed from the SCBGP, the removal did not correspond to a change in the project types permitted by USDA or to the allowable costs and activities associated with the program. So, if your project has the potential to benefit non-specialty crops, describe the method for ensuring that SCBGP funds will not be used toward this purpose. Common examples of projects that have the potential to benefit non-specialty crops would be projects involving farmers markets where non-specialty crops are sold, or projects involving nutrition education that will also include information on grains or protein. If cost sharing will be used to cover activities and/or costs that are unallowable under the program, describe the specific funds or contributions that will be used, including their source, and detail the activities and costs they will cover. If the project does not have the potential to enhance the competitiveness of non-specialty crops, indicate this project does not enhance the competitiveness of non-specialty crops. Question 5, prior year SCBGP projects, is a multi-part question and is unscored. If your project builds on a previous SCBGP project, include the following. The grant agreement number for the previous project or projects and the outcome from those projects. How the new proposal is different from and builds upon previous work. And provide lessons learned from the previous project or projects. If the project does not build upon a previously funded SCBGP project, indicate this project does not build upon a previously funded SCBGP project. Question 6, project sustainability, is worth 10 points. There are 2 possible responses to the question of sustainability. Generally, if the project involves a marketing campaign, nutrition education, or a training program, the response to this question should address the likelihood of the project becoming self-sustaining and not indefinitely dependent on SCBGP funds. The second response may be most appropriate for research projects or any other project with a standalone outcome that will not require continued effort to benefit California specialty crops. Question 7, other support from federal or state grant programs, is unscored. SCBGP funds cannot duplicate activities funded by other federal or state grant programs. If your organization has applied for and or received funding from another source, address each of the questions in the section which are listed on this slide. If the proposal has not been submitted to or funded by another federal or state program, indicate this project has not been submitted to or funded by another federal or state grant program. Note that if you are awarded SCBGP funding and are subsequently awarded funding by another agency, you are required to immediately notify your assigned CDFA grant analyst. Proposal should have the support of the specialty crop industry. In external project support, question 8, which is worth 10 points, identify at least one specific specialty crop stakeholder and explain why they believe the project is important and timely. Specialty crop stakeholders are individuals or organizations involved in the specialty crop industry. Support from the applicant, employees of the applicant, cooperators, contractors, or any other entity that will participate in the project or receive project funding should not be included. Similarly, organizations that will contribute cost share to the project should not be included under the external project support section, as their participation in the form of project support is apparent and addressed directly in the cost share summary. In addition, applicants can attach letters of support to the grant proposal application in FAST. Letters of support should be written on the stakeholder's official letterhead, be addressed to CDFA's Office of Grant Administration, and explain why the stakeholder supports the project. Although letters of support are not a requirement of the SCBGP, they are strongly encouraged as they demonstrate industry support for the project. Question 9, outcome measures, is worth 20 points. Applicants are required to download and complete the outcome measures template. The information entered should build upon the template from phase 1 and address any administrative or technical review feedback that was received. It's important to note that all chosen outcome measures and associated indicators and/or sub-indicators must be achievable within the grant duration. And remember that the outcome measures and indicators were developed by USDA and the Office of Management and Budget, so they cannot be changed, altered, amended, reworded, etc. Question 10, budget narrative, is also worth 20 points. All applicants are required to download and complete a budget narrative template. Ensure that all costs conform with the federal cost principles and the USDA and CDFA requirements for this program. As previously mentioned, we will review both the outcome measures and budget narrative templates in greater detail in separate presentations. Question 11, cost sharing, is unscored. If your project involves matching funds or in-kind contributions, you will need to complete the cost sharing template. It is not necessary to complete this template if your proposal does not have cost sharing, and cost sharing is not a requirement of this program. If you have no cost share, you can respond to the question in FAST indicating, this project will not utilize cost sharing. Question 12, project oversight, is also unscored. In the response to project oversight, attach a current resume or curriculum vitae for the project director, project manager, principal investigator, and any other collaborators who will receive a portion of the project funds. Please attach resumes or curriculum vitae in PDF format. Here is a brief walkthrough of the review process for grant proposals. Projects undergo an administrative and technical review before submission to USDA. Projects may be subject to additional questions from CDFA and/or USDA. However, not all projects awarded funding are subject to additional questions, and not all projects that have additional questions will be awarded funds. Lastly, USDA makes the final determination on projects awarded funding. Please note that any of the following may result in the disqualification of a project proposal. Incomplete proposals, including proposals with one or more unanswered questions necessary for administrative or technical review. Incomplete proposals, proposals with missing, blank, unreadable, corrupt, or otherwise unusable attachments. Proposals that include activities outside the grant duration. Proposals that include additional content or documentation of any kind to circumvent the character limitations within the FAST system. Proposals for less than the minimum award amount or more than the maximum award amount. Proposals with unallowable costs or activities necessary to complete the project objectives, including indirect costs that exceed the limit set forth in the grant proposal instructions, And lastly, proposals in which the outcome measures or indicators or sub-indicators are altered. The next few slides will review award requirements for the SCBGP. All organizations applying for funding, including renewal funding, must have a Dun & Bradstreet Data Universal Numbering System number, also known as a DUNS number. A DUNS number is a unique, non-indicative, 9-digit identifier issued and maintained by Dun & Bradstreet that verifies the existence of a business entity globally. The registration process can take several weeks, so applicants are highly encouraged to begin the registration process now. In addition to attaining a DUNS number, organizations must be registered in the System for Award Management, also known as SAM. A link to SAM can be found on page 13 of the grant proposal instructions. In order to complete your registration in SAM, you must have a DUNS number. Successful 2020 applicants will be required to provide their organization's DUNS number and have an active SAM registration before a grant agreement can be executed and SCBGP funds are awarded. It's important to note that SAM accounts must be renewed on an annual basis. If your organization receives funding and does not renew its SAM account, your grant agreement may be suspended until SAM is renewed, which could affect your organization's ability to complete the project within the grant duration. Here is the process for invoicing. Invoices are reimbursements of actual expenses. Invoices must be submitted at least quarterly, but no more frequently than monthly, and invoices are required regardless of whether or not project costs are incurred during the invoice period. Applicants awarded funding will have the following reporting requirements. Progress reports are required on a biannual basis. Final performance reports are due no later than 30 calendar days following the expiration date of the grant agreement or after the project is complete, whichever comes first. Applicants should anticipate at least one site visit and one audit or desk review within the grant period. CDFA may put more stringent requirements in place for any non-compliant organizations. And also note that past performance is a factor in future awards. Recipients must retain financial records, project records, and supporting documents until December 29, 2026, or until any litigation related to the grant is resolved. Please be sure your organization has the capacity and processes in place to retain all records related to the grant award. Organizations awarded funds will be required to follow the guidelines outlined in CDFA's Grant Management Procedures Manual. Each year, CDFA develops a new Grant Management Procedures Manual with a comprehensive explanation of the grant terms and conditions. The 2020 manual is not yet complete, but you can review the 2019 manual for a more detailed explanation of the award requirements. The manual can be viewed via the Specialty Crop Block Grant Program website under Recipient Resources. At this time, USDA has not yet published its 2020 request for applications or provided terms and conditions for the 2020 SCBGP. CDFA does not anticipate any major changes when the request for applications is released. However, if necessary, CDFA will prepare and make available a supplement to advise applicants of any changes to the program upon receipt of USDA's request for applications. CDFA and all applicants will be subject to the terms and conditions of USDA's RFA and guidance documents. CDFA will conduct 3 rounds of Q&A to address general questions about the grant proposal phase. Responses to all questions received during the webinars or by email will be posted to CDFA's SCBGP website according to the schedule posted on this slide and on page 19 of the grant proposal instructions. Note that the deadline to submit questions is Monday, February 10th, 2020 by 8 a.m. On this slide, we've included CDFA's website and email address. Our website has links to the grant proposal instructions, supplemental documents, and the required templates. If you have any questions or problems accessing the FAST system while working on your grant proposal application, please contact the FAST Help Desk. As a reminder, the FAST Help Desk is staffed Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. This concludes the grant proposal presentation. Thank you.